Misses it! He missed it!
There it is, second U.S. Open.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Piece of history, young man.
You better believe he did it! For the title! Got it! The 10th. Big strike for 5.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bowl TV for continued coverage of the 2022 U.S. Open from Woodland Bowl in Indianapolis, Indiana. My name is Aaron Smith, and we are ready for the excitement upcoming. The 37-foot flat condition here in round number 2 proved to be perplexing for our competitors in B squad earlier today. Just 8 players averaging better than 200, highlighted by Wesley Lowe Jr., who put together a super consistent block, a low game of 210, high game in the 230s. He went 164 over to move into second place overall in the standings. Andrew Anderson, your new leader, though, at the top spot, plus 243. The competitors on C squad, they now have their turn on our 37-foot condition to see how much fun they have. It offered a lot of challenges throughout the course of the block. A lot of frustration out there as well, which it's the U.S. Open. That's going to happen. But we're going to see how C Squad is going to attack the lanes here in just a moment. So before we get into the excitement, I'm going to bring in Emil Williams Jr. all the way from the Chicagoland area, EWJ. Welcome back to Bowl TV.
Oh man, how you doing this morning or afternoon? I guess at this point now, huh?
We have hit the afternoon here, as you have in the Midwest as well, in the Central Time Zone. So we're here, we're ready. It was an absolutely interesting round, to say the least. Kind of as it started, just kind of the intrigue of seeing how players are going to attack this pattern, how difficult it was with only one practice shot per player on each lane to start after the practice range. And, we saw different ways to attack it. We saw a bunch of different things. A few players finding some big games along the way there. But ultimately, Wesley Lowe Jr., the most consistent player, having a monster day to move all the way up into second. So I'm excited to see what C Squad's going to have. And, of course, A Squad coming up later today at 6 p.m. Eastern as well. But, Emil, let's get to the lanes and see the best bowlers in the world.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, and yesterday we talked about, from the lefty perspective, not having many, opportunities, at least it looked like, to score at least consistently. And of course, obviously Wesley Lowe. When JT and I left the broadcast last night after the final squad, he mentioned, despite the pattern, generally speaking, right, he thought, there's always a couple players that could really come out and really post a number, while everyone else certainly would, hopefully be over the plus line even, or, keep the struggles to a minimum. But there's always a couple people who find a way to get it done today. At least so far, that was Wesley Lowe. And we'll see who can, maybe surpass that number that he's posted on this particular pattern. Give a shout out to Double A as well, our new leader. And I saw Ronnie Russell doing his thing also along the way as well. So looking forward to what this particular squad will bring. And then obviously as we get later into the evening, we'll see A Squad.
And as we kick off game number 1, a big hello to all the folks watching on Bowl TV. We are also simulcasting to Flow Bowling. So hello. And for game number 1 here, also available on the Sport of Bowling USBC Facebook page and the Bowl TV YouTube channel. So big hello to everybody joining us on all platforms. For those watching on Facebook and YouTube, friendly note that we will be here for game 1 with this sneak peek before we send the feed exclusively to Bowl TV. while still being simulcast to Flow Bowling. So be sure to pick up that subscription today. Our competitors we are watching at the moment, lanes 43 through 46. On 43 and 44, Tim Stampy, Kim Bowlby, and a two-time U.S. Open champion, Norman Duke, takes care of the 3-6-10 there. Over on 45 and 46, Michael Moore, Jesper Svensson, and Zach Wilkins. So Norm, you just want to see Norm on this condition. This is prime for shot making. Norm has that and then some. So intrigued to see kind of how Norm is going to attack things here in the early going. We saw a little bit of everything, to be honest with you, with how players attack this. We saw some players try and keep things pretty straight in front of them. A lot of players in deep already, kind of into third and fourth arrow to start. For the lefties, we kind of saw the same thing. Wesley kind of stayed in the same area throughout the course of the block. He was able just to find a way to manipulate his role to kind of stay in the same spot throughout the course of the block. But we saw other players, left of first arrow on the left side trying to find a consistent look. So it's really, from what we heard from the ball reps in round number one, it's dealer's choice where you feel comfortable. Kind of go from there. So you're really not going to see, you see certain patterns. The 45-foot condition yesterday, more players playing to the left of the track area. Typically a shorter pattern you see farther to the right. Probably not going to see that too much here, but it's really going to be, since the pattern is flat, where the players feel most comfortable to consistently get to the pocket, hopefully leave something pretty manageable to pick up and, move on, get to the next shot, get to the next game.
And Aaron, I think this is the one, or I should say, I think it's the pattern that the players know the most, right? The most familiarity, because every year at the U.S. Open, especially with the implement of, multiple patterns, that the flat pattern is going to be there, the 1-1. And so just about every player at this point, if you bowl the U.S. Open, and maybe even if it's your first time, but, because even our youth players are so experienced in the sense of, they get a chance to bowl on multiple lane conditions, patterns, difficulties, etc. You've probably seen flat patterns multiple times at this point. So this is the pattern that players are probably the most familiar with overall, and may have the best game plans, quote unquote, obviously keeping in mind venue, topography, etc. So when you really think about it, seeing the success that some players had this morning, I guess really isn't too much of a shock. You expect players to struggle. Certainly it's going to be difficult throughout the block, but the players know that. They know what they're getting into. Instead of 40, which is what we traditionally see from that standpoint at the U.S. Open, it's 3 feet shorter. Plays a little short, obviously puts a different wrinkle into it, but you're still getting that 1-1. You know what's out there, and so you put your head down, try to go after it as best you can, hopefully leave something makeable, and then obviously make it.
I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. The pattern they're most familiar with is the pattern they least want to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point. There's always a little variety in the other patterns throughout the course of the week. Nick Hoagland, who develops the pattern, many times will, take a look at previous patterns that he liked and used and make small changes here and there throughout it. But some of them are brand new as well. So, you kind of know it's kind of been the trend over the past couple of years that there's typically some flat pattern included in the U.S. Open rotation since we've gone to multiple patterns. So I think that's a good point that players have seen it. They, obviously the venue is different. Some other small things may have changed, but you kind of know the characteristics of what you're going to see with this type of pattern, how interesting they're going to get, how dirty they might get overall, to be honest with you. We saw urethane, we saw plastic for a couple of players, Marshall Kent for a little bit, Anthony Simonson multiple times throughout the course of the round, resorting to plastic balls just try and get out of the game with something. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how the players who are watching, what they learn from that, and what they could take away from what B Squad kind of showed them, and how they kind of make their own adjustments along the way.
That is not the way I needed to start this round. I'm sorry, Mike. I know you had a lot of fans last night in the chat. That shot there for Norm. A lot of Norm fans, obviously, and already out and about in our Bowl TV chat, of course. Shout out to all the good people watching on Facebook, YouTube, Flow Bowling, and, of course, right here on Bowl TV.
Emil, I just saw some of the photos you sent over of the snow situation over there in the Chicagoland area. And I just want to say excellent job on your shovel technique. It looked like you did a very nice job clearing out the driveway for the fam. So
that is shovel number 2 for the day. To put a
that's
little
aggressive
context to that.
Kim Bowlby had a nice day yesterday, plus 92. I think he might have been the top southpaw overall on, at least off the top of my head, thinking about scores on pattern number 1, the 45-foot condition yesterday. Off to a nice start here, nice comfortable start.
And someone always, right, we always talk about finds a way. And yesterday that was Kim, where, it didn't look, too advantageous from a lefty perspective yesterday. But, someone's going to figure some things out, hopefully get a couple breaks that they can work with. I feel like Kim Bowlby, someone also who always quietly is, around the number when it's all said and done at this event too. Remember him in 2019, just kind of really seeing him up close and in person really for the first time. That was in Mooresville, North Carolina.
Jesper minus 20 in the opening round. Strike followed by a 4-bagger of spares. Norm, nothing fancy, little pepper up 10. Plus really 64 to start the day.
Really happy you said that yesterday, and you will continue to say it.
It's a new U.S. Open tradition. Before we get too far into this game, do want to take a quick rundown at the leaderboard after 16 games for our B squad competitors. As we mentioned, Andrew Anderson plus 243, our overall leader. He went 82 over earlier today. Wesley Lowe moved into second place, plus 215 after going 164 over today. Low game of 210, high game of 237. So Wesley found a way each game to, put together a double or two, three-bagger here and there, and filled his frames for the most part on his way to just the big day or big performance of the day so far. We'll see if anyone can get to that score. Definitely be a tip of the cap from Wesley, I'm sure, to anyone who can surpass that number today. Ronnie Russell plus 204. He went 77 over. And then continuing on B squad, so just players with 16 games in the books. Kyle Troop plus 133. Anthony Simonson plus 116. Marshall Kent plus 88. DJ Archer plus 43. Toby Sambueno plus 37. Chris Prather plus 30. Brian Halen plus 23. Dan Higgins plus 18. And that's it for plus on B squad overall through 16 games. A couple players putting up some strikes though here in the early going, taking a glance at live scoring. Wes Malott, six-bagger after a spare in the first. Past U.S. Open champion Frank Snodgrass, who led the PTQ back on Sunday. 6 out of 7, you can shoot 279. But nothing else too crazy after that.
Someone had a did a like a quick math recap, and you may have just touched on it, Aaron. My apologies. I just turned away briefly about the number of players that average 200. I think this
first
morning.
block. Yep, it was 8.
Right. Shout out to John. Yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, I do know that is probably a strange way to look at it, but and it could be just a mental thing, right? If you try to just go on this pattern, knowing that, hey, I've seen this thing 1,000 times, I know what I'm going to get out of it. All I've got to do is try to make the best shot possible, make it spare, and try to simplify the 1-to-1 and make it as simple mentally as you can. Perhaps that helps. And of course, you still got to do your thing from an execution perspective. You got to throw the shots and all of that good stuff, of course. But, unlike 45-foot pattern, of course, what we're going to see tomorrow, you may be thinking more strategically because of the varying lengths, volumes, etc.
I think that's an interesting point too, just because, and especially for C squad out on the lanes now in A squad, knowing that there wasn't there, and not that we expected there to be, but there wasn't a trick, a magic ball, something that just gave someone an out of this world look. outside of what Wesley was able to do. So I think if you think about that, if you potentially maybe get a little bit more conservative, just knowing that okay, the scoring pace wasn't crazy. I don't have to find out a way to shoot or average 205 now. It's like if I average 195 to 200, I'm probably top 10 in my block. Obviously, if you got to make up some pins, that's a different story. You may have to get a little more aggressive. But for those players who had a good opening day, maybe the option, whether or not they take it, a different story. To think a little more safety out there.
Yeah, I think what I don't remember. Yeah, I've been at this event. What was my first U.S. Open? Maybe 19. Or was the U.S. Open in 18?
18 was Wichita. Tom Barrett.
Wasn't there. And it was in October then, right? Halloween.
It was on Halloween, the show, yes.
Brant was running around with a mask, I think. So yeah, I think 19 was my first time seeing the event in person. Excellent shot there by Norm. Obviously showing also, and I think most folks know this on a when you're thinking about flat patterns and the distance this time because it's a little shorter, where that outside may be in play at least for a little bit. I think you saw some of that this morning. But I think it also would play what day this pattern would fall on would also play a factor in the risk reward. Should I play it safe, right? Should I not? Because if it's on cut day, then you kind of throw it all out the window. Because if you're out of the number, knowing you got to make up a significant amount of pins, then you're probably going for it. In that sense. But in this situation, and again, like you mentioned, if you had a good day yesterday, safety is certainly not frowned upon, at least in my opinion. It could change if you say, hey, day three's pattern might be my worst one. So maybe I got to go out here and try to attack this a little differently to try to pick up a few extra sticks.
See a report from Rick in the Bowl TV chat, and that is correct. Wes Malott still striking. He can shoot 290. 3 strikes in the 10th. That would be a pretty amazing start, and one you can watch on what lanes was he at?
33 and 34.
33 and 34. Although I see that the first shot did not go as planned for the Big Nasty. But all pairs in play, all 24 competition lanes available throughout all competition, leading up to Sunday's stepladder finals on FS1. All qualifying, all match play. Lanes 27 through 50 being used, all able to watch on Bowl TV.
Bounce it.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, that was just saying bounce. I was hoping that 10-pin bounce for Jesper.
Here's the open in the 10th floor, West 254. Frank Snodgrass can get to 257. He already has a strike in the 10th. Is into the 240s. Norm was thinking 240s before that first shot in the 10th. Jason in the Bowl TV chat. That's a fair point. Can't argue that so far. Key to this pattern is to be named Wes. Wesley Lowe, monster day. Wes Malott, strong start. I think those are the only 2 Wes's in the field, though. So it was up to them. So, folks, as we get toward the end of game number 1 here, just a reminder for those watching on Facebook and YouTube, our preview is coming to a close quickly. However, competition will continue to be broadcast live on Bowl TV, simulcast of Flow Bowling. So if you want to watch, be sure to pick up a subscription, bowltv.com, the website. You can pick up an event ticket just to watch the live action throughout the course of the week for $12.95. You can pick up a monthly recurring subscription to Bowl TV for $9.95, which gets you full access to the site and even a little bit more. Thinking about the other events, we have a couple of collegiate events coming up throughout the rest of February. So if you pick that up today, you'll be able to check out all those on the monthly recurring subscription. And then finally, the annual recurring subscription. Best way to support the PWBA Tour, which is home on Bowl TV. $79.95 for that. Transaction fees do apply at all 3 price points. Got a great Bowl TV chat community. Watching every show, interacting, asking questions, having a good time. And then giveaways. We have giveaways along with all this as well. Bowl TV t-shirt coming up a little bit later today. We got a bowling pin coming up tonight, signed by the eventual 5 finalists here at the 2022 U.S. Open. And then a Nintendo Switch is the grand prize during the final round of match play. .219 finish for Norm. He's going to move up to plus 83 overall. 203 for Kim. He's going to be now at plus 95. Tim finishes with 173. Michael Moore 155. Zach Wilkins 189, and 1 shot left to go. Jesper Svensson can get to 173. We'll mark it 171, and with that, game 2 coming up next, and we'll take a quick second to reset once again. If you're watching on bowltv.com or Flow Bowling, hang tight. We'll be right back. Those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube, thank you for joining us here. We'll be back for game 1 of A Squad coming up a little bit later today at 6 p.m. Eastern as well. But you can watch all the action right here on bowltv.com. Every pair in play being streamed. So, folks, we're going to take a quick break to reset. Emil and I will be back shortly for game 2 and the rest of the block here at the 2022 U.S. Open.